should people take insurance? Should dietitians take insurance?
Yes, they should.
Why is it asked of you all the time whether or not dietitians should take insurance?
There's a bunch of misconceptions about it, because it's like people think that if you take insurance that people have to have a certain diagnosis or they can't be preventative. Some insurances still take the Z713, which is like dietary counseling and surveillance. And then even with a diagnosis, it's like most people are not coming to me 100% healthy. They have something.
Isn't the big thing, the big stigma with insurance, that it's a pain to bill and that you're not guaranteed to get paid? It's that everyone's intimidated by the billing process, right?
Yeah, and it's like the whole getting a network, which does take a lot of time, but the getting paid part, there's certainly a learning curve of like understanding insurance lingo and all of that, but it is pretty straightforward.
There are dietitians that I've seen you talk about, recommend on Instagram, they belittle taking insurance.
A lot of that is like you get paid less. Like if you're taking insurance than if you are self-pay, like you get charged more, which...
That's assuming you put together a program where you're going to get people to pay. They charge way more. And then you expect people to pay that out of pocket when they're already paying for an insurance policy where this is covered.
Exactly.
So you've got other dietitians out there who are dissuading people from taking insurance and saying that it's just not good in terms of pay. Mm-hmm. But then you're leaving all of these people on the table, these potential patients on the table, because they're already paying for their policy.
Yeah.
So all that people need to do, all dietitians need to do, is get credentialed.
Yeah, get credentialed and learn some basics about like insurance.
Yeah, which is not that much.
No, it's like understanding what a CPT code is, ICD-10, an NPI, and then like what to do before you take on a patient.
So dietitians should take insurance.
Yes.
And you find that they're not primarily because billing is a barrier and there's like a negative stigma in some instances?
Yeah, for like how much pay you get, which reimbursement rates, we can't like talk about reimbursement rates. Medicare rates are public information.
What are Medicare's rates right now that you know of?
They are, somewhere between like 25 and 30 a unit. Depends on your area.
Okay. And it can be higher, it can be lower.
It can be higher or lower, yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And if that's per unit, then like per hour, you're talking over $100.
Yeah, which
for
is...
an initial, and it's a little lower for... follow-up, and it's not different for telehealth.
No, not for Medicare. Some of the insurances that have like the Medicare Advantage are cutting their rates for telehealth more recently. That like just came out that they were going to start decreasing rates for telehealth, but not for like straight Medicare. That's not something that they put out anyway.
So I don't know who's saying over $100 an hour isn't good money.
Yeah,
as long as you know how to bill.
Exactly. The thing too with like billing and all that, especially with Medicare patients, like I don't know how many times I have had people call that are a Medicare patient. They don't have like a qualifying diagnosis and they're not paying out of pocket because it's too expensive. They're on a fixed, or limited income. Or on a budget. For them to pay out of pocket, I'm just losing them as a patient.
Yeah, it's not a good mindset to think you need to build your business around people paying out of pocket. Like that's the best and really only option.
Yeah.
It's just way more convenient for patients.
Yeah.
And who is this for?
That's
another thing. It's like these dietitians that push private practice self-pay only, they seem a little scammy to me. Like it's way more aggressive.
They're a lot more focused on packages and coaching kinds of services than anything else. Like that's a lot of the emphasis. And then a lot of the same dietitians that are talking about like which is I kind of wonder where their income is coming from.
So what they're looking at a different client base.
Yeah, and it's like a lot of times I'll see posts about people saying like you shouldn't take insurance. There's the same people who also have a program for dietitians. So it's like, are you billing self-pay yourself? And it depends on your area. I think sometimes when dietitians are talking about self-pay, it's like they might be in a pretty wealthy area. I met a dietitian when I was in retail as a dietitian and at a supermarket, was out in California and was doing like home cooking and nutrition for people, but that was all self-pay, but it was like they were talking about how wealthy these individuals were.
If you're in an affluent area, go for it. But most people, that's not necessarily a realistic option. To put it out there as a whole that taking insurance is a bad idea, because you could just self-pay with wealthy clients, and that's how you can build your business. Like, not a realistic goal.
Yeah.
For everyone.
And I think the other, billing, obviously there's a learning curve with that. But when people talk about billing, the frustration with insurance, it's not putting in the time beforehand to like understand billing before you start. Of course, people aren't getting paid and then they're like, I should just go self-pay. But it's like understanding billing and coverage and policies before you even start. And then that way you're not losing out on money.
Which is a little extra work, but it's well worth it given the patient pool you have access to. Once you get over that hump, you only have to learn it once, and then it's easy.
And I'm not saying I never had to eat costs for patients. I mean,
In the beginning,
when
you're
it's
learning.
Rare now, still happens sometimes, but it's
Really rare now, but your
Yeah.
first year, you might lose 5%, 10% of your possible claims, maybe because you didn't check XY policy, their code isn't billable or whatever,
Yeah.
they're beyond their visits and you didn't realize, something like that can
Yeah,
happen. But
I didn't realize that some of the I thought everyone was calendar year, and I had a random patient that just happened to not be calendar year, or Medicare Advantage. I didn't realize they still follow Medicare guidelines, and but that was also a combination of the patient called the insurance, I called the insurance, but I didn't ask the right questions either, or understand it enough to know.
Yeah.
If I was getting misinformation or not asking the right thing. So
Once you learn it, you know it, and then you can bill it forever. You can bill insurance forever. Everyone's going to have a policy, or there are always going to be people with policies. Medicare is always going to be a thing.
Yeah.
Unless we're in some kind of post-apocalyptic situation where none of this stuff matters, Medicare is going to exist.
Yeah.
People are going to have policies, and you should be able to bill them. You should know how to do that.
yeah,